Hello there. Thanks so much for joining us for the Long Comics Book Club, a bi-weekly podcast about long comics, also known as manga and graphic novels. My name is Shane, and I'm the older brother. I'm joined by Spence, the younger brother. To start the episode off, I like to ask Spence a question inspired by the long comic we'll be talking about. So, Spence, what awful thing did I do to you? What did I do to deserve Jinju Ito's Uzumaki as our latest book club book?
I don't know. You know what you did.
I don't, but clearly I wronged you in some way, which I deeply apologize for. I don't know if either of us know what it is. Maybe it was our
Yeah.
ancestors. Really, by the tone of this book, it very well could be.
We,
Uh,
we we've had 30 years of history. Must be something at some
that's
point.
true. Or maybe what we've learned from this book is that bad things just happen to people, even if they've done nothing wrong.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're
Yeah,
trapped forever.
maybe that's what you were trying to teach me with this. Uh, so Of course, this might make a lot more sense if you read the book, or otherwise, if it doesn't make sense, you're about to find out how it makes sense shortly. Because today we're going to be talking about the long comic we read over the past 2 weeks, which of course was Junji Ito's Uzumaki. If you're not familiar with our podcast, we take the first half of the show to talk about the long comic we read over the past 2 weeks, which again, Uzumaki. We'll give our reactions, takeaways, book club things. And for the second part of the show, we'll be chatting about some of the other visual media we've consumed recently as a much needed palate cleanser to today's episode. To make sure you avoid spoilers, we'll include time codes in the episode description. And of course, we'll then end the show with Spence introducing the long comic for the next podcast, which will come out on October 11th. To be notified of when the podcast is out, you can follow our Instagram or Blue Sky at Long Comics Book Club. You can also find us on YouTube or TikTok for short form clips. And if you don't have time for a full episode, or if you just want a quick highlight, we also have all of these links on our LinkTree. One of these links is to VesperiaComics.com, the shirt I'm actually repping today. Spence, of course, is the owner and proprietor of Vesperia Comics, which isn't just an online store, but is physically located at 1935 West Broadway in Vancouver, British Columbia. Spence, how are things at the shop?
Things are good. Things are good. We've entered the school year now, so kids are in school. Kids are coming by. Yeah, things have been popular. We're currently, this will probably change by the time this comes out, but at this very moment, we're sold out of the last three things. Or yeah. We're not sold out of Uzumaki's, but we're currently sold out of Absolute Batman, Death, and Killer Shark Another World. We've all got them
Wow.
ordered coming in, but they're all currently sold out at this very moment.
Is that because people have seen the podcast and are like, hey, I should read that?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, if so, that's awesome. To the people that are getting those, if you're
Yeah.
inspired and have been listening to this, let Spence know. Come back, chat about it. Part of
Yeah.
what I'm
I'm
jealous about
reasonably
is,
certain Absolute Batman's definitely not, because that's
yeah,
just
maybe
like
not Absolute Batman.
insanely popular right now, but the other two, maybe.
The other two, maybe. I mean, if so, clearly this is your opportunity to go back to the store, talk to Spence, share your thoughts, and now you can actually have a dialogue just like Spence and I are today. Because book clubs ideally would be more than two people, which is part of why I'm still working on getting the Discord back online. I swear, folks, I'm working on it. It takes time and energy that I do not have abundance of at the moment. And of course, also, maybe it'll soon be sold out of the shop as well is Uzumaki, the one that we're talking about today. And so, jumping into Uzumaki, normally we say avoid spoilers. This one's going to be special. I'm also going to say if you are not comfortable with things that are squeamish, gore discussion, horror conversations, maybe don't listen to the first half of the show. Use the time codes to avoid all of those wonderful things that are pretty wildly upsetting. And jump ahead if you're extremely curious, want to see how we try and have a conversation about some of these very traumatizing things. We'll buckle up because here we go. It's going to be a bit of a wild ride today, I think. Much of the same way that Uzumaki is a 600-page wild ride. So, without further ado, everyone who's had the chance to get off the ride has been
I
given their
want to get off.
opportunity.
I want to get off Junji Ito's wild ride.
Yeah, Mr. Bones has nothing on Junji Ito. Spence, we're moving into it. Why did you choose Uzumaki for our? long comic for the
Well,
book club.
it's so like Junji Ito is honestly like in terms of like names, possibly the most like iconic single name in manga. Like there's more famous mangaka, but almost all of them have like an associated work with them where Junji Ito's unique and it's just his name alone is like the brand. And so obviously, so that lends itself very well to like this kind of stuff because also they tend to be like shorter. Like Uzumaki's like his longest. I think Tomoe is a little, or Tomi, I don't know, however you pronounce that, is a little longer, but for the most part, like that's as long as they get. There are no like multi-series stuff, so it's a perfect. And Uzumaki's kind of his most famous one. So let's do the most famous one.
To the biggest one. So he is sort of the Christopher Nolan of the manga world, where
Yes.
you get it because you know the name, except if it was like Christopher Nolan met A24.
Yeah. So honestly, what's his? Oh, the Get Out guy,
Uh, Jordan Peele?
Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's probably closer.
There, yeah. If Jordan Peele was like, well, I guess some of his stuff is sick and twisted, but not
Yeah.
to the same level where we're talking sick and twisted. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's Jordan Peele meets Lars von Trier.
I don't know who that is, but I
Oh,
assume Lars has
you're
some problems.
yo, no,
Um,
does he ever? Yeah,
because speaking of twisted, so the plot of Uzumaki is
oh
essentially
yeah,
if
Twisted,
spiral,
nice.
yeah, spiral as a concept was
Yeah,
is horror. Spiral is horror, which when you get into it at first you're like, that's a pretty ridiculous concept as a horror theme is just a spiral. What a what a silly thing. Boy, is this one what a doozy.
yeah.
So Uzumaki, as I learned last week or 2 weeks ago, Uzumaki means spiral. So the book is just called Spiral. And man, in case it hasn't been clear, this one messed me up a bit. This is a very I have, of course listened to again when Spencer introduced Uzumaki and talked about it more being a psychological horror that there is other parts of it, but it's mostly psychological. Nah, man.
Yeah, I would say the psychological is the worst part of it all. There's a lot of other stuff going on, but
The
which also,
psychological in what way? The
well, just like the never-ending like darkness that like envelops the town and like they're trapped there forever, kind of that
uh,
whole yeah, like
I'll
that's
take that.
yeah, because
If
that's
it
like
was
the most
just a town that can't escape, I'm fine with it. If it was if you told me I was going to be watching someone turn into a snail, I would I would have put the brakes on before I got in the car.
which to be fair, okay, like I hadn't read it for like
Okay.
over 5 years when I recommended it. I forgot most of the start.
Oh
I just
God.
remembered the like I legitimate like I remembered the snail thing. I forgot that was in this one. Like I thought that
Mm,
was in one of his
that's
other
funny.
works.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
like because I forgot, oh yeah, that scale one's totally screwed up. But yeah, like I mostly remembered like the row houses becoming the infinite spiral at the end, and then like them being trapped in the town, and then going into like them falling into the yeah, the like
Into the pit at the
into the
hole at the
void.
end. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is yeah, I mean, I think if we're just, I think there's sort of gosh. So what's really interesting about the way I thought about this is it's very much like campfire horror stories.
Yeah.
At the very much the first part, which is like you have a theme of spiral, which is very wide and vague, and then you have a bunch of horror stories, some of which are very loosely tied to the concept of spiral, uh, thrown in there as if you're going around a campfire, um, trying to scare the living hell out of one another. The ending, though, certainly ties it all together. And the ending, I can understand the appeal of the ending, where the ending is very intense, but also very like symptomatic, and I did like the ending. I thought that it was like dark, beautiful, of them being together at the end, trapped
Yeah.
in the spiral for eternity, like pretty intense, pretty out there. But man, the journey you have to go to reach that point really wears you down. It's tough to know where to dive into, just because they are vignettes. So
Yeah. So honestly, do we want to even like go through like vignette to vignette?
absolutely not. I
Okay.
mean, we could. I think it's just some of them are really. brutal. Um, I think I mean, maybe talk about the ones that you want to talk about. There's ones that I don't want to talk about, but maybe
That's
that's part of the point.
yeah.
But
Well, that's I guess this entire thing comes to the whole theory of like why do we enjoy horror media? Do you enjoy
yeah,
horror media? I
I
enjoy horror
do.
media.
I don't normally know. So this has been made clear from
Yeah.
before this as well. I mean, there's there's a lot of questions I have. So to start off, we'll get into some of the stories I think, and like you said about like horror and getting into that. But just so I understand, was this published in a collection or was this just like published as its own thing?
So like we mentioned, so it was published in a would have been published in a like manga magazine.
Hmm.
Um uh Big Comic Spirits, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just yeah. So
So, someone had to.
unsurprisingly, a set in magazine. So as we've talked about before, so for unsurprisingly older males, um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was yeah from 1998 to 1999. These were just published like kind of as one shots that all tied together. So that kind of makes more sense with the yeah how it happened.
Hmm. Okay. So it started out separate, but pulled into one shots. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, because like all of the reason I was especially wondering is like many of our other manga, you just get right into the story right away. They
Yes.
just right away, the very first story with the death of, oh, I'm gonna get his name wrong.
Shuichi.
Shuichi's dad.
Yes, which I think if we learn anything from this, it's like they should have just gotten out when Shuichi said they could have.
Yeah, Shuichi had his chance.
Shuichi, man, like you spent the entire thing being like, we need to run away. You should have just run away, man.
Yeah, you had your opportunity. I mean, as is the tradition with horror, they have the opportunity to escape and then they don't.
Yep.
And I think what's so interesting about the start is it starts because it gets right into it and it's immediately gross with the dad's long curled tongue. It
Yep.
just starts out bad. And so I, in the first time I read it, I was like, there's no way, like, you're setting such a high bar to start. How, and what you're now putting yourself in the position of is that you have to keep upping yourself because that's how it works is you have to continue to build tension and conflict. And boy, does it just continue to get worse.
Basically, there's a couple moments of like, huh? Like I remember the Jack in the Box kid. It's like
Oh God.
this one feels like it belongs in a different thing, but hey, that one.
Yeah, that one's it. So that was what I'm talking about. They very much feel like they're in little like separate stories. Like, and that one, that's when I thought the campfire horror story. There's two in particular, which is the mosquito one and the Jack in the Box,
Right.
that are very much like sort of their own things.
Yeah.
Um,
I also found the killer hair one a little like that one's tied more into the spirals part, but that one also
the
feels like it's
killer
like
hair one was the
out something
stupidest of
out.
them all. That was the only one that I was like, this is not scary in the slightest. The last visual image is really upsetting with like her being drained of her life force by hair.
Yeah.
But what's really
Yeah.
weird is a
Well,
lot of
Junji Ito. I think no matter what we can agree, absolute masterpiece art. His art is off the charts.
I think that that's what's really incredible about this is that a lot of these, if you tried to tell it to someone, they would like be like, "This is really dumb. This isn't scary." Especially around like turning into a snail, you'd be like, "This is super stupid." Why are
Oh
you
yeah, but then you read it and it's like,
Yeah, and then as soon as you see the visual, that's ruined things for me. The visual just absolutely locks it in. Same with like the mosquito women. Um, I mean, that one I guess would be scary even if you told it, because that one's super creepy. But yeah, especially the snail stuff and the hair as well. Especially if you're trying to describe these two women battling with their hair. Not really scary, but yeah, Jinju
we,
Ito, his visuals are boy. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube or on one of our shorts, I mean, you can see our backgrounds. And the amount of detail and the obsessive nature of his illustrations in this are pretty wild. and extremely well done. So artistically, yeah, it's visually a really impressive piece for sure.
Which probably also we can kind of slightly transfer into on the same note is how every Junji Ito anime is terrible. And I think that's largely why. Because his visuals just don't transfer to animation well at all.
Yeah, I can imagine. It doesn't it doesn't sort of I think
Yeah,
especially because it's frozen on the frame. I think I'm
yeah,
sure as part of it is it's that you're sort of trapped and staring at the thing.
yeah. And just trying to get that level of detail into like every you can't. It would be like Thief in the Cobbler levels of how long it would take to make if you tried to like actually
So
make
the
one. Thief of the Cobbler for anyone, which I realize is everyone, because no one other than me would know this, is was a movie that spent 45 years in active development.
hmm, did it get released?
It got released after they ran out of money and had like an hour, and had to like BS the last 15 minutes.
Oh, that's very sad.
And then came out right after Aladdin, so everyone thought it was an Aladdin ripoff, despite the fact that it started in
Oh
the 60s.
no. That's what you get for taking 45 years.
Yeah.
You goofed it. Wow. Okay. That I don't even remember how we got onto that
Oh, about
tangent.
yeah, animation, how ridiculously expressive it would be beyond the level of animation.
Right. Yeah. Just wouldn't hold the same weight that it does. Um, because this, I mean, the whole thing is spiral. It really pulls you in. You get sucked into it, and you want to escape, but you've
Yeah.
agreed to read it in a book club, and so you can't stop.
The spiral you keep circling in.
Yeah, you keep circling in. And it's, I mean, it's pretty wild to watch them just sort of start to accept the supernatural stuff. No one questions that they're battling with hair, that their classmate turned into a snail. They just kind of take it.
Honestly, yeah, at like no point, like from the first moment, the guy getting turned into like turning himself into a spiral, everyone's like surprisingly chill about it.
Yeah, that one I thought seemed like kind of, oh God, I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
They seem to just, I mean, that one I can sort of imagine as like a horror situation, but then I guess he turns into smoke when he gets cremated, and
Yeah.
that's they all just seem to take it and say, it's probably fine that the smoke went into the pond. And Shuichi's like, we gotta get out, but then he doesn't for some reason. But I mean, to be fair, the part that I couldn't believe these are grade seven kids. These are 12 and 13 or 13-year olds.
I don't think they're that yet.
I,
I
I,
think they're supposed to be 15 and 16
are
because
you sure?
she goes to high school, and in Japan, so, high school is just 16, 16, 17, 18.
This would make more sense.
Yeah.
Are
In
you
Japan, 16, 17, 18 is high
sure?
school. Middle school is 15, 14, 13, 14, 15. Yeah.
I feel like
Those things are supposed to be 15 and 16 year olds old.
uh, okay, high school student. I mean, okay, that makes more sense. I mean, it's still not great that this is like a 16, 17-year-old digging up a grave of their classmate, but
Yep.
that makes more sense than them being 12, 13. Still not great, but okay, that makes more that helps ease the pain a little bit. Um, man, because these stories. So what what was your experience reading this?
Like the first time, like,
No,
uh,
I imagine you can't remember the first time because you didn't remember some of these stories.
yeah.
What was your experience rereading this?
It was interesting. It was like a lot of like, oh my God, this is so much worse than I like. Okay, actually, it started with, oh my God, this isn't nearly as bad as I remember, into, oh my God, this is so much worse than I remember.
Yeah, back into, oh, this isn't as bad as I remember. When you have these goofy wind riders, I would say if
Yeah.
there's any tonal errors, it's the wind riders, the like dragonflies, where this town has been decimated, and if you make any noise, a cyclone appears. And you have gangs flying around in tornadoes. That's tonally incorrect. That sort of went the wrong direction. It was building up correctly and then reverted temporarily into goofiness, where you have like children trying to blow people down.
I thought the children kind of fit kind of well with them. I get what you're saying about like the Wind Riders, but the children walking, like the demon children walking around blowing everything over, that kind of fit.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it was just sort of a funny image of them being like, "I'm gonna get you."
Mm,
But yeah, that's I guess the little wicked children, I guess, does sort of play into it. But yeah, the dragonflies. But okay, so this was also jarring for you. Was there any particular moment or just sort of in general?
kind of in general, that nice, beautiful little like sinking feeling as it gets worse and worse, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh my god,
Yeah, make it stop. Get me off the wild ride. Yeah, I think the part that broke me was the snails. I
yeah,
think it's because the snails are so goofy and then it's really gross
yeah. But it's
and
also like,
really upsetting to look
yeah,
at.
it's like horror. It's so horrifying.
Oh God, it really is. It's a lot of body horror to
Yeah,
watch this. Uh, yeah, what does it look like for a person to turn into a snail and then to another person turn into a snail and then mate? Gay
yeah.
snails making eggs and then stomping the gay snail eggs. And I'm like, I can't with this book anymore. I think that was the moment where I was like, I need to walk outside. I don't, and then I think the part that I'm gonna do the work the hardest on is to forget them eating snail people
Yep.
because that's so gross. It's so gross. Which is why I think the snail people are the what, despite being the objectively goofiest to hear about, uh, is probably the worst of this for me.
Yeah. I think Jack in the Box boy live wins for goofiest one.
Jack in the Box is terrifying.
Is he? I don't know.
Okay, sorry. In terms of being visually gross and graphic, the
Yeah.
boy falling apart while he bounces after them is up there.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, I mean in terms of trying to describe it, I imagine like a hopping corpse is pretty terrifying just to describe, um, as opposed to snail people just always sounding really goofy. And so something I'm wondering about with is this sort of, I mean, I don't know if you know this off the cusp, but horror in Japan, this is in the late 90s. What is this sort of what Japanese horror was it? Was in the late 90s? Because I know late 90s American horror. What are we looking at for late 90s?
Late night. Oh, this is like the dark ages of American horror. We're looking at like Friday the 13th sequel, like we're looking at Jason X right now, for where horror movies
No.
are.
Okay. What does that even mean in terms of, because I know something that's really interesting about horror is that it's often a reflection of society's fears
Yes.
at the time.
So actually, though, for 90s Japan, that's when The Ring and The Grudge both came out right around the same time.
Okay, as someone that has fortunately avoided both of these, what would you say is sort of what is this what are we afraid of in The Grudge and The Ring?
They're both basically just straight up ghost stories. Both of them notable, like this one, are very bleak. Very much no like, oh, how do we beat the ghost? It's no, the ghost here and you're dead. You're going to lose against the ghost. There is no
Right.
fighting the ghost.
Yeah. Okay. So you're just kind of inevitable
Yeah,
death
like
to.
like I will admit I've never actually seen the original Japanese Ring. I have seen the original Japanese Grudge though, and that's basically very similar. A bunch of vignettes about like people go to haunted house and then get killed.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that seems pretty standard. And I was taking
yeah,
a look
pretty
here.
pretty some horrifying ways of doing it. It's
Yeah,
pretty.
and makes sense. So in America, we're looking at like Blair Witch Project is
Well, Blair Witch.
1999.
Okay, yeah,
Sixth
and
Sense, 1999. So I guess it's a lot of like ghosts and stuff. And found footage. Interesting.
yeah, because this is before the zombie boom. So
So I guess it's just the fear of the unknown or sort of the the inevitability. I mean, that ties it to Uzumaki, the spiral.
yeah.
Because yeah, what do you feel like this spiral represents is what I've been trying to lock into.
Yeah. So I think it's just going into like it's like a mesmerizing shape that draws you in. It's supposed to be like infinite whatever going through the shapes and all that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if this is the exact case, but Junji Ito is famously not nearly as into metaphor as you assume he would be.
Okay. Considering what I'm
Like
looking at, that is genuinely surprising.
yeah, like famously, there's a interview about one of his other famous works called Gyo, and it's about like sea life all grow spider legs and start to attack a town. And when someone asked him once in an interview, like, what's the meaning behind all this? He's like, dude, have you ever thought how scary a shark would be if it had spider legs?
That is pretty scary.
Junji
Uh,
Ito's a delightful man in one of those cases of like, he writes very horrifying things and seems a very well adjusted, very nice person.
yeah, I remember you saying that before. Okay, well, that's pretty funny, but I feel like there has to be something taking away from it. I think it's what you're hitting on, though. I feel like it's sort of the inevitable, sort of that there's no, yeah, that you're gonna kind of have to confront death. I mean, in this case specifically, that it all leads to the center where we all, uh, yeah, where I guess the
Yeah.
spiral is death, where you
Yeah.
end
Like
up in your immortal time
beyond
for
death, being
beyond
like
death.
becoming part of the like mess of flesh in the row houses, then going down into the pond of yeah.
Yeah, Dragonfly Pond, where we all, I mean, we all end up in the same place. We're
Yeah.
all skeletons in the end. We all come back. I mean, honestly, that actually legitimately what I think is, I think that
Yeah.
is a good way of interpreting this.
Yeah, until the next people move into the town and the spiral comes again.
Yeah, and then they also just get to become part of uh the part of everything at the end. How incredibly bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As things be pointed out, there's no way like this wouldn't become like everyone would know about the horrifying thing that happened here.
yeah, you would assume so. But
But
I
I
mean,
gotta
the records
the
do get,
spiral destroys the records or something. But like
well, I think it's
they
more that,
destroyed like half a dozen Navy ships, just like got zooped into the bay.
yeah, that part's pretty goofy. But I think it's more that over, the records over time will eventually disappear. Not the length
Uh,
of time that they were talking about of like hundreds of years. Like, I think record keeping would actually catch that. But like, you give it like 1,000 years?
oh yeah, that's good. In 3,000 years, who knows what?
Yeah, who knows what they're gonna be able if they're gonna be able to
Yeah.
figure it out. But
In a wow, this anime adaptation is truly terrible. The anime adaptation like ends with a stinger of like the town already rebuilt in like modern day.
uh,
The anime
uh
adaptation is. I haven't watched it, but I've heard it is very terrible.
yeah, that
I
and
have
it
seen many gifs of how bad the animation is.
oh gosh, things I don't need to I will
Yeah.
fortunately not be watching for many reasons. The least of which is probably the animation quality. I did call it bleak, but I realized maybe there is like a sad positive
Well,
positivity to like all being together at the end.
yeah.
Bleak positive. You take from it what you will. We're all part of the spiral. We're all spiraling down. Oh God.
Spirals everywhere. We can't get
Yeah,
away.
we're just trapped. So ridiculous. Um, and so I mean something else I was certainly thinking about. This is obviously set in a small town. Uh,
Yes.
but at the same time, it feels like there's like 2 million people here with how many bodies we see throughout this book.
Yeah, at one point they say 6,000 people live in the town, but then a bunch of people come in for the like rescue workers get trapped inside. So
Right.
add
They
a few
probably sent
more.
like a
But yeah,
thousand rescue workers to fill up all those houses.
but oh, you need a whole lot more. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I
how exactly? I guess imply people expand or something to fill the houses. I don't know.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they also spend like years and years and years go by when like they're outside. Time speeds slows down for the as they get farther away from the spirals. Time slows down, and as they get closer, it speeds up.
Yeah, that's yeah, interesting that time starts to mess around in this. It just fully descends into uh full chaos, full break from reality eventually. I mean, it was already pretty much there, but it fully breaks from reality, that's for sure. I mean, the one glimmer of hope we have is that Snail Child did escape. So, that's
Oh
good.
yeah, there's a giant snail person living in the mountains
A
nearby.
little
Everything's
snail,
great.
a little snail boy escaped. So, so even though everyone else died, little snail boy made it. And that's really what I'm gonna lock into is try to stay positive about that and just hope that he didn't get caught and someone ate him alive as a snail. Man, this book's just the worst. No, like I mean, if you're interested in horror and if horror is your thing, like I think you could really enjoy the shock factor of this
Yeah,
thing.
I'm 100% maintaining this is still the greatest piece of horror media. Like in terms of actually
Mm.
scaring you, you can't. Nothing
Hmm.
beats this. It's the
Okay, I was
scariest. It's
gonna.
the scariest. Like Silence of the Lambs is my favorite movie, so probably I think that's a better
Mm.
like entertainment product than this. But
Hmm.
in terms of like scaring you, nothing comes anywhere close to this thing.
That's a good favorite movie. Silence of the Lambs is very, very good as a film. And it's
Yeah.
really interesting to think about like how impressive that is for it to be so scary, for it being one, black and white. So it's like immersion isn't the easiest thing to achieve when you're doing print media, plus when you then make it animated and drawn in black and white. But that it really is that it feels like horrifying. It's also very interesting when you think about this as a horror medium because I feel like horror now a lot of it has to do with jump scares, right?
Yes,
And
which are impossible in
literally can't be done. And so it's like you can't
well,
do.
actually you mentioned that, but they kind of actually do that sometimes. In that they'll be like there'll be some like a dark something like a dark shape, and then you'll turn the page and it's a horrifying creature. That's kind of the closest we
Right.
get to jump scares, and those totally happen in
That's true. It is
this.
very different experience as a jump scare because you don't jump, but you do
Yeah,
get scared. So it's more like a soft surprise scare.
yeah.
But yeah, those do exist in this. But I mean, I think that's more of a testament to it as a piece of horror. Is that you don't get the cheapness of jump scares. You can't just have some of those cheap thrills. You gotta really shock them for this
You
one.
got to earn every bit and
Yeah, but that's
go off, Junji. You earned you earned so much.
you earned it. Was there any specific moment that you're like, okay, this is still the greatest horror, or is it just more the general atmosphere of it for you?
More the general atmosphere. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Like most horror stuff doesn't scare me. I enjoy it for like other reasons, but this one
Hmm.
gets under me, man.
Yeah, well, you're very squeamish in general,
Yes.
which is why I was surprised that I mean, it is still surprising that horror is still your thing, considering some of the gore and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, this is a pretty squeamish one.
Yeah.
Boy, is it ever.
And I'm pretty good at like putting the difference between what it's on screen versus what's in real life.
Mhm.
And also, I often am squeamish because we're eating. I don't watch horror movies while I'm eating.
That's smart. That's a good call. That's good. It's good to be aware of yourself to that degree. Uh, but I mean, what else is there to say about this? It's pretty out there. Do you think this kind of thing can be, is this thing still kind of, is this kind of thing still being made? Is it only Jinju Ito's that's able to get away with this kind of thing in manga? Is there an
Oh,
appetite still for this kind of
oh,
horror?
absolutely. Yeah, like Jinji Ito's still going. He still has new stuff coming out all the time.
Crazy.
There's others like what's his name? Kazuma Umozu is Kazuo Umuzu is another guy who does stuff like
Horror
yeah, like
manga? Hmm.
equally yeah, horror manga of the similar type. What's the other guy? The guy who did Happiness, who is Happiness. Oh yeah, Shuzu Oshimi is like probably the number two guy.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's
Okay. I
lots of
mean,
other stuff who
yeah, because I know it's still pretty big in North America, but that's more like film stuff. And I know part of that, because the reason part of that I always think about is that that more has to do with like budget. And that's easy to make a big buck off horror. Uh, Whereas
Yes.
I don't think it's sort of the same in that setting. So that's almost more interesting because that means that there's an actual interest in making it for the sake of the genre and the content than just making it because it's financially
Mm,
an easier thing to do, like we do here in the north. The good
yeah.
old or in the suburbs
And,
that we do in the
and to
west.
be fair, yeah, like horror movies have kind of had like a resurgence of like artistic merit in the last honestly like 15 years now at this point. So it's hardly, but like there was some dark times for horror and like cooler horror movies, more artistically interesting horror movies started coming out. So
Hmm.
like often they're lower budgets, but people are still have somewhat like as you mentioned Jordan Peele.
We just keep on bringing them up.
Yeah, but also like Weapons just came out like not that long
Hmm.
ago. And that was
Like we
another
talked
like
about.
yeah, we did talk about Weapons.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's another example of like sure it was lower budget, but it was really was but like it still had a decent sized budget and was a huge success and it was just it's a very interesting take on horror.
Yeah. So horror does have its, I think that horror can really have wider messaging, and that certainly ties back to what we were talking about before, where horror can be a reflection of the society that it's in. So we were talking about like zombies is the fear of like commercialism, and
Yeah.
you had
Yes,
sort of like
be losing yourself within the group.
yeah, and then that like post 9/11 there was a big like fear of the other. I
Yeah.
remember it was a big thing in horror.
Yeah.
This is not
Vampires about seduction and all that.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is none of that. This is just I think we're good. This is just horror on Junji Ito's terms. This doesn't have anything else to do with what's going on in society at the moment. This is just Junji Ito deciding to throw some terrifying concepts and ideas with one very vague central concept, and some of it loosely tacked on, and some of it solidly tacked on. But some,
But
for
yeah.
sure, the mosquito pregnant women and the bouncing corpse were just sort of fun ideas he sort of shoehorned into this.
Yeah. Mosquito Woman like bouncing guy at least spring, but Mosquito Woman really
Yeah,
not a lot like
yeah, they're like the
to do about
mushrooms
horse.
are spirals. It's like that's not enough. That's not enough to go off. But
Yeah.
oh
Or I
man.
don't know, like the skin disease people with the spikes that are spirals. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what's wild is that this is so long and there's so many stories that some of them I just fully forget. But yeah, there was like that skin disease woman, but I mean it's I think that's one of those ones where it's like comparatively it's so low key that
Yeah, we
I'm
just
not really
finished.
bothered by it.
Oh yeah, or heck yeah, we never even talked about the storm that was in love with her.
The oh yeah, that's right. The
Yeah,
wanted to suck her up. Yeah.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
another.
that was another one. That was there was also the lighthouse. I
Oh
forgot
yeah,
about the
right.
lighthouse for a
Wait,
while.
Lighthouse. I like the Lighthouse. That was a good like.
Yeah, the lighthouse was a good one.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean that's part of it, right? When you have so many stories, and that's sort of I think kind of proof of why it's really interesting that a lot of these are essentially standalone mini stories in it, where you don't need to remember it because it's not important to the narrative.
it, yeah,
Whereas find out how those snail people are created, you can't you have to know about that so you understand why they're being cannibals at the end.
yeah.
Ah,
Also, like
gosh.
poor Kiri to go through all like the amount of like random stuff she went through. Like, good
Yeah,
on her for
that
lasting, keeping her sanity as long as she did.
were you surprised? I mean, you had already read this. Were you surprised at the end when they died when you read this the first time? Well, yeah, no, I think it's pretty clear they die at the end.
Oh
Were you
yeah, 100%.
surprised by that?
No, I thought that pretty clearly was the hopeless direction we're going to.
Yeah, it's sort of inevitable. I genuinely was surprised. I
How they
guess
get
it's
away.
I think that's my soft
That
Western
yeah,
perspective.
that's the Western fan of you.
Yeah, it's my soft Western POV that surely they'll get away. Nope. The spiral, the spiral takes all. Goodness gracious. So, I mean, the other thing I was wondering about how, so there's so many things. I mean, the characters you kind of mentioned there, I think nothing else really matters beyond the story and the art. Like, who cares about these characters? They're
Yeah.
not interesting. They're just here for the
Oh,
sake of the plot.
yeah. They're
Um,
what they need to be, which is like Shuichi's a very reasonable man going insane, which is like,
yeah.
yeah, yep, I would be
Every
too.
time he's in the frame, he's just like I don't know, his art is just like dark shadows under his eyes and he's yelling. And that's
Yeah.
essentially all he does the entire time.
And he looks a lot like what Junji Ito, whatever he draws himself.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah,
Like,
actually, now that I think about it at the end. Oh my God,
yeah.
I just also forgot about the story about the like Romeo and Juliet that turn into twin snakes and dive into the water.
Oh
See,
yeah.
this is wild. It's just like things I forget happen.
Yeah,
And I didn't read
the
this long
nebula
ago
bonus
at
at the
all.
end.
I didn't read it. And see, what's really interesting about this is that I reached the bonus stuff and I said, no, I've already
Okay.
read this far. I don't have to read this anymore.
Yeah.
So, so I did not
The
read the bonus.
Nebula feels like a deleted scene at the end of a DV on the DVD that you're like, okay, I
Mm,
understand why they deleted this one. Because it's just
right, yeah.
like they discover a random like uh galaxy or
Spiral
something.
Galaxy.
Yeah, a spiral galaxy, and then fight over whose
Yeah,
right it is to name it, and then it's dumb.
that's very funny. I'm actually just now looking at straight in front of me. I can actually see one of our coasters and it's a spiral. So
Oh God, it's
that's,
coming!
yeah, we're seeing it everywhere. Okay. So then,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Hide
I
your
mean,
anatomy charts.
yeah, Jesus. That was another brutal one. My
Yeah,
God.
it's. I remember once I was talking to a friend. It was just about Uzumaki, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I heard that sounds so horrifying. I heard like a woman stabbed herself in the ear when she has a spiral in her ear." It's like, yes, that does happen in the second chapter. It gets so much worse
It's
after that.
infinitely worse than that. That's, yeah. I wish we just had a bunch of ear stabbing. I wish that was the worst that we were dealing with, if only. But here's my main question. Is this something that you recommend to people?
If you're into horror, yes, absolutely.
Even horror fans?
Yeah.
Would you still recommend this? Would you have to find out where they are on the scale of horror fan? Or you think if someone is bold enough to say they like horror, or what if they're like, yeah, I like horror? Or
Well,
do
I'd
they
be
need to be
like,
like, I like
yeah,
horror?
I don't know. I guess it's like if someone says, "Oh, I like spicy food," and you're like, "Okay, do you get like? Does that mean they like kind of like jalapenos? Or do we get the ghost peppers out?"
Yeah, exactly. That's a great comparison. Yeah, do you get if someone says they like spicy, do you get the ghost peppers? Because this is very much a ghost pepper situation. Um, yeah, I die because I mean, if you have the confidence to recommend this to someone who says they like horror, you go for it. I don't think I would. I mean, unless someone was being like super braggy, being like horror is not scary. I love horror. I'd be like, okay, great. You do this, and I won't feel any level of guilt for recommending this to you. But otherwise, oh man, I just get tired thinking about it.
Okay. So now I have a little question for you. Noting that this is in fact the worst of them, would you be willing to do other Jinji Itos in the future? Not for a while.
I feel like we don't have to for give me like one a year.
Okay, that sounds pretty reasonable.
Season- Like every 4 weeks is another Junji Ito. I just feel like I'm being
Yeah.
bludgeoned.
Okay. Well, you know what? Next Halloween. How about that? Like not.
Hey, that's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In like literally
Not in like 2 months, but or two. Not in like 2 weeks, but
not in like 2 weeks, yeah, but like in a year, yeah, that's fine. There you go. Junji Ito can be our annual Halloween. When there you go. As we bring this podcast for the next 10 years, ten
yeah.
years in a movie, or
Good
whatever
God,
it is.
there's so many Junji Itos, so we won't run out. Don't worry.
There you go. And he keeps on pushing out new stuff, but
Yeah.
man.
Or we do his cat diary next time.
Oh God, I don't even want to ask if it has anything else to do with animals. I don't want to do
No,
with.
it's literally just him doing a like self biography about owning a cat, done in the style of his horror stuff. So it's like long pans of like the cat walking over and like horrifying sound
Is that
effects.
like one volume? There's no
Yeah,
way that's.
it's two volumes, but yeah, it's two little ones.
Yeah, there's no way that's a full plot, but uh, man, I mean, I'm happy to call it there for talking about Uzumaki. I think that I think in the same way that we're talking about it now, it's almost like you have to kind of experience to understand it. It's difficult to explain something that's clearly so heavily reliant on its visual form that as much as we talk about some of these, the lighthouse, these people turning into twin snakes, row houses being full of twisted people, like it's one thing for me to just like say it. It's another thing for you to have to actually visually look at it. And so if you want to be able to, I guess, get the most out of this episode, you kind of have to read it.
Yeah.
Um, but also,
The one thing you 100% should not take out of this podcast is to go, "Oh, that doesn't sound so bad." Us explaining it,
yeah,
no. That it's just hard to explain, man. It
it's
is in
just,
fact that bad.
yeah, I think it's, yeah, someone who's been traumatized, struggling to explain the impact that it's had to them until they properly go through counseling is what I currently feel like I'm experiencing. Because I don't know how to properly articulate into words the way I feel when I have to look at a person that's turned into a snail. I am locked into this one because it messed me up. Uh, because it's something that I didn't think the first time I was reading that story. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing. I can tell he's turning into a snail. I've gone on about the snail people too. They're just
Hey,
the
you know what?
worst.
It's clearly it's left the most impact of all the stories.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, maybe you've had a different story that's impacted you the most. Which one was it for you? What was it still just the ending?
I think the ending's the most impactful one for me is the ending.
It's
The
still
last,
just the ending. That's
yeah.
insane to me. I almost I imagine I'll forget the ending within like 4 months. I will remember the snail people forever. Oh no. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
if
And like
you
when I say the
have,
ending, the whole like row houses going together into all that, like into
yeah.
darkness kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of cool visual imagery and
Yeah.
storytelling, and yeah, the this idea that we all end up in the dirt. Anyways, we're gonna wrap it up there. We're gonna
Moving on.
spiral out. Goodness
Yeah.
gracious. If you've read Uzumaki, which part of it has stuck with you the most? And if you haven't read it and you want to go for it, whew, uh, go pick it up from Vesperia Comics and then talk to Spence
Mhm.
and let him know about which one traumatized you the most. And you can get also, you can waggle your finger at him on my behalf as well for bringing this nightmare into this audio format. And so if you want to go check out Uzumaki, you go for it. I hope that this has been proper content warning. But of course, Spence, what other kinds of content have you been enjoying this week? Is there movies, TV shows, games, books, and palate cleansers to get us away from Uzumaki?
Yeah. Well, probably the most relevant thing that happened is I decided this is not exactly the most standard thing to talk about, but I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch the Nintendo Direct the other day.
Okay. This is unusual for you?
No, it's pretty normal for me to do. It's just had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning
Okay.
part about it.
Got
I
it.
don't have
Wow.
kids, Shane.
That's true. Well,
That's me.
good.
This is me waking up 3 hours early. There's a new
Okay.
Fire Emblem game. I want to talk about the new Fire Emblem game. Fortune's Weaves. It looks really cool.
Okay. So this is now your platform. You have 2 minutes to talk
Yeah.
about the new Fire Emblem game. Why was it worth waking up at 6 a.m.?
But it looks like it's gonna be a sequel to Three Houses, except maybe a prequel. But I really think it's sequel. There's gonna be gun. Someone has a gun. That's really awesome. Fire emblems are great. Yeah, looking because it's like we're going back to Fodlim like it was in Three Houses. We got Heroes Crests, we got Heroes Relics, but like new stuff. And then like one of the characters, he looks like Alucard, but he's also got the same crest that Mercedes and Juriza do, which means that he's probably like one of their descendants, or but also that takes it away from being a prequel because we know about that family's history going back 1,000 years. So yeah, lots of like weird stuff. It looks really interesting. If you're like as obsessed in Fire Emblem as I am, you can yeah, lots of stuff.
I'm not invested in Fire Emblem, so
No,
I caught almost none of that. I thought
no,
this was a Japanese RPG with people with swords and axes and horses, but they
yes,
have
very
guns now?
well. That's the thing. Yeah, one of them's got a gun.
Hmm.
But yeah, we
Are we
still
talking
have all
about
the
like a
swords.
rifle or
No,
like
just like
what are we?
a Glock, like a handgun, like a modern looking handgun.
What? That and this has been well received by the community, presumably.
Oh yeah, totally. People
Uh,
want to know what's going on with the gun.
yeah. Even I now want to know what's going on with the gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like last time you
Well,
played a fire game, it was like what, Sacred Stones?
yes.
Yeah.
That's yeah, and that was ages ago. So quite some time.
Yeah. Quite a lot lots happened with the series since then.
Yeah, I imagine it has if someone is running around with a gun all of a sudden. Well, I mean, speaking about other Japanese pieces of media, I have finally been able to have the time to get around to reading more of Witch Hat Atelier,
Ah,
which
nice.
was very kindly offered to me as a birthday present from the wonderful Spence. And so I finally had some free time to be able to start working through those. I read through volume two, almost done volume three, and what a treat.
Yeah.
What a necessary narrative escape after after Uzumaki. And really it does it really feels like it's one of those stories that it's still wild to me how new it is. Because it feels like it's one of those old like fairy tale stories. Uh and it's just great. It's just really, really good and the art's incredible. And we talked about it lots on our Witch Hat Atelier episode, but glad to be able to stick with it. And there you go, the podcast inspiring further reading
Yeah.
again. Uh
Success.
Success. We don't just do one shots, we sometimes do volume ones. And for exactly this kind of reason where you realize it's something that you want to keep reading. And so that's been nice to kind of enjoy that and have that little bit of fantastical escapism. Because yeah, I mean, what an opportunity to again tell people go read Witch Hat Atelier. I think it's all, even though it looks like it's for kids, it's really just meant for anyone. Because yeah, it was one of those ones that like came out in one of the, and not the same book as Uzumaki, but
No, but the same type of book.
yeah, because it really is meant for anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very different. Good Lord. Uh, man, just, uh, but yeah, is there anything else you wanted to, or it's been how are you, how long ago did you wake up at 6 a.m.? When did that come out?
Well, that was on Thursday. So
Oh, okay, got it.
yeah, I
Still
guess we're,
recovering.
we're yeah, we're dating ourselves on when we're making this, but
That's yeah, that's okay. I mean,
yeah,
if you also missed Fire Emblem with a gun, it's your chance to go
yeah.
see
I'm,
what
I'm sure I'm
Nintendo
sure I'm sure
Direct
when
is.
that game actually comes out next year, it's all I'm gonna want to talk about. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean the
not that you're gonna have any idea what I'm talking about,
I'll
but
just make sure I set a 1 minute timer each time just to give you your little 1 minute platform to rant about Fire Emblem.
yeah.
The
Well,
only
it's like, and you know what? The discourse around Fire Emblem Three Houses is still going on 6 years after that game came out. So
there you go, the power of Fire Emblem
Fire Emblem discourse,
in a
especially, but three
subculture I know
houses
nothing.
is yeah. Well, three houses because you like pick one of like three sides, and the other sides like make up the villains of that side. So like people have
Oh.
very strong feelings on who's in the right in Fire Emblem Three Houses.
I like if you had to add more to the sentence beyond people have very strong feelings. Because it's just like, yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
Uh, The only other thing I want to throw in here just ties to our last episode, Absolute Batman, where I watched the Scott Steiner clip on doing math.
Oh,
Uh, just tied to our last episode of a WWE promo of Scott Steiner. It's like a 2.5 minute long YouTube video of a wrestler doing math, and it's insane.
yeah.
It's very funny. It's very goofy. It's a great YouTube video of someone who does like the math, like as he's talking, shows the math of what it would actually look like,
Yeah.
and
But what happens when you add Kurt Angle?
yeah, Kurt Angle equals X. How does it equal? But yeah, go check out. Just search Scott Steiner math and treat yourself to a good laugh.
Yeah.
But I'd
The
say,
best part is at the end, the math does in fact work. Like it's so bad that like some of the math actually like kind of it's hilarious. Yeah. But
well,
yeah.
technically his math is right, but it's
Yeah.
not. But it's not. But I'd say at this point, we're now just winding down towards the end of the episode. But of course, we need to introduce what's next on the reading docket. So, Spence, what do the fine folks at home and I get to look forward to reading next?
Okay, we're going old school with a graphic novel that came out in 1982 with
Whoa, did they have paper back then?
I know. It was originally made on clay tablet with
Uh,
X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills, by Chris Clement.
X-Men God.
God Loves, Man Kills.
Okay, X-Men colon.
Yeah. God Loves, Men
Man
Kills.
kills.
Yeah.
Uh, X-Men God loves, man
Yeah.
kills.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I like this. This is
Yeah.
already
Chris Clement is the guy who kind of made the X-Men into like people like to say that Stan Lee created the X-Men, but really he didn't. Chris Clement created the X-Men. Um, the only reason anyone remembers who the X-Men are is because of his work. So he's like the guy who really brought X-Men into being like the massive thing they are. And this was like a special graphic novel they put out. Like this is like I think like literally the second graphic novel Marvel ever put out.
Wowzers. Okay, well
Yeah.
that's exciting. Wow, we
Which
haven't done a lot of old stuff, but why not start with X-Men God loves, man
yeah.
kills?
Also, it's
What
a
a
nice change of
title.
pace. So this is going to be one of the shortest ones we've ever done.
There you go. I mean, very different than what we just went through, but
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm curious. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I guess the other thing, you remember the movie X2?
Is this Halle Berry's Storm? Is that what I'm thinking
It,
about?
yeah, with that era, yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because
Uh,
X2
then
is,
technically, yes.
yeah. So X, like, if there was a single work that X2 was inspired by, it would be this one.
Okay. Interesting. Well, um, I guess I maybe I'll watch X2. Nah, I won't do that. But well, maybe we'll talk. You can tell me more about it then.
Yeah.
So there you go. The next book club assignment, X-Men, God loves, man kills.
Yeah.
Love that. So of course you can. Do you have this available in store?
Not the original graphic novel, but we do have like the modern take on it.
What's the modern take on it?
Well, like, it's just like a book that has it and like some other stuff. But I'm just gonna give you I just gonna
Oh,
give you the original graphic novel because I own the original graphic novel.
gotcha. But if you don't own or can't find the original graphic novel and you
Yeah.
want to get X-Men, God loves, man kills within a collection, you can order that collection at VesperiaComics.com for pickup at Vesperia Manga and Comics if you're in the lower mainland of beautiful British Columbia. Or you can also order it for Canada-wide shipping. Or you can, I don't know, go see if this 1982 graphic novel is in a library. Unlikely, but you
Probably some
never
of
know.
them. Honestly,
There you
it's
go.
yeah.
Yeah, or
It was a
maybe go
popular one.
check out like a secondhand bookstore if you're not in the lower mainland or not in Canada. Or maybe just split the cost with a friend. Find some way to get your hands on X-Men. God loves, man
Man kill.
kills. It really just feels like it's just like six random words a monkey slammed onto a typewriter. But this is going to be
Yeah.
another. Death by Neil Gaiman situation where I think the title is funny and then I vastly regret
Well,
it.
yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah,
That's
God love like because God loves, man kills. That's kind of makes sense as a title, being like,
that's
does man
true.
love or does it? No, God is the one that loves. Man is the one that kills.
Yeah. Oh boy. I can imagine the fundamentalists are really going to come after us with this one.
Well, especially when you learn who the villain is.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a wow. What a great. What's that called at the end of something? Uh,
Foreshadowing teaser.
yeah, that's a great teaser. So, so there you go. If you want to understand what Spence is talking about, stay tuned because, well, this is it for episode 18 of the Long Comics Book Club. You can absolutely keep an ear out for when the next episode on X-Men God Loves, Man Kills comes out on October 11th. And in the meantime, follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram for updates. Also, jump on there and share some of your thoughts on Uzumaki. Again, yeah, get in there. Let us know what you thought about where along the line in that tome of a graphic novel did you feel like you were being attacked in ways that you didn't ask for. But I'm excited for X-Men. God loves. Man kills.
Man kills.
Magnos coming out October 11th, and we will talk to you then. Bye bye.
See ya.